highly recommend Reverend Edmund. He does a great massage. Um, he's up in Mentor, so it's not too far. He's also very active spiritually. He does our forest bathing walks. He facilitates our Healing Thursday. He is a great healer, and he's just a great person to talk to. So, Edmund, you can add to that if you'd like, but I want to welcome you up to this podium. Turn this off. It might be easier to stop the buzz.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna move this out the way. You want your phone?
No.
Oh, good morning. Sorry.
Good morning.
So, first I'm Reverend Edmund Green. I have a nonprofit foundation that I have created called the Majestic Destiny Project. This talk is a way for me to explain what that is. Today I'll be sharing a concept that I created that is a foundational piece of my journey. It's also a core principle in the Majestic Destiny pathway. Part of it is based off of Hermetic Philosophy. The first one I'm going to start with is the principle of mentalism. The principle of mentalism states that all is spirit and spirit is all. So within that principle, how it is stated is that everything that is ever created ever is part of spirit. So all of you sitting here, the chair, this marker, the lights, energy everywhere is spirit. So if you can close your eyes for a minute, we're gonna go back to the beginning. So in the beginning, there was nothing. For the way that I can try to explain this is I'm gonna say that nothing is darkness, and we'll start from darkness and move forward. So in the beginning, there's nothing, or there's only darkness. For a long time, darkness was trying to figure out what to do, what to create. Is this all there is? Is this only me? And after a while, there's a spark in the distance. Darkness saw this spark and became happy and wanted more of it. And for a while, darkness just tried to remember how this came about. And over time, there were more sparks, and there were more sparks, and darkness moved towards towards that light, towards that spark. You can open your eyes. So for me, there's darkness, and eventually darkness saw light. In Hermetic teachings, there's also the principle of polarity, which polarity says that everything is two opposites, everything is our poles, everything is one extreme of another. So in the way that we have sought to explain things over time, we know that the opposite of light is dark and the opposite of dark is light. So in that, there are just one extreme of the other, but they are the exact same concept. So going from there, someone asked me recently, someone said that people don't seem to care too much about like other people anymore. And they wanted to know why. They wanted to know what my reasoning for that was. So what I told them is that if you start with love, and within love, let's say that is the original feeling, and everyone felt love. And at some point in time, I'll use myself. At some point in time, just feeling love, someone did something to me. Let's say I was going to get an apple, and the last apple was taken, and I really wanted that apple. And if the only feeling that I knew was love and someone took it when I got there, for whatever reason, like I still felt love, but then I started feeling this other feeling. I didn't know what that feeling was. Over time, the next day, I go back and the same thing happens. And the next day I go back and the same thing happens. And over time, I'm not really feeling love anymore. I'm starting to feel something else. And maybe it's the same person taking this last apple. So I start to feel, you know what, I don't really like this person anymore. So, and we get that, a little snippet of that feeling. It's like I still love them, but I don't like them anymore. And from love becomes dislike. And over time of that happening, that dislike growing within inside of us, not being aware of it, and I say I don't like that person, not being aware of it, over time, well, whatever that person does, everything they do, I start to dislike them. And eventually, that dislike grows and it becomes, maybe I hate that person. So, from that becomes another pole or another opposite, another extreme of one another, love and hate. And that's the way that I explain that, and my reasoning for explaining that is that while we have that original feeling of love, and we started to create this other feeling that we didn't know what it was, and since we didn't know what it was, we just allowed it to be. Not being constantly aware of what we were creating forward by still disliking, and then eventually that growing into hate or another aspect. So I believe that we can be, whatever we're doing, if we can be consciously aware of a feeling we may have towards someone else at some point in time, of what that may create way down the line. Now we all have free will and we can't control what the other person may feel. But we can still choose to come from a point of creation within ourselves to consciously just try to do something that we feel is good as we move forward. So another thing, going back to the principle of polarity, that everything's are just extremes, if we remove hate and we just say like, so what else? Another thing that I found is that everything is just, while there's different extremes of each other, everything is also a different aspect of each other. So of love, like, hate, infatuation, and many more that are not coming to me right now. But they're just different aspects of each other. So what I decided is, what if we could come back to center? So I have a theory that with dark being opposite of light, and love being the opposite of hate, I started to ponder if if we never had the concept of darkness and light or love and hate, where would we be? For me, we would be at the center, whatever the center is. I think that as a species, as different concepts have evolved over time, we've tried to figure out how things are and how things work, and by doing that, we've broken down the basic concept of just spirit, and spirit is all and all is spirit. And by doing that, we have constantly created a rhythm of separation. And those cycles have continued from creating darkness and light. We either want light or we want dark. I feel that if we can figure out a way to go back to center, in the center there is no light or dark, or there's light and dark, however you perceive it. So for me, it's finding a way to go back to that center. And if you go back to that center, there is no, those concepts don't exist, and if those concepts don't exist, to me, that is a way to get back and to create peace. Because I feel that at the beginning, when there was nothing, when there was only spirit, there was just peace, whatever that peace meant. And after that, like I said, of going through the different degrees of separation, we've created things, and there's just the way that I view the society on through my eyes, my perspective, is that we're just in a constant cycle of separation. That there really is no integration of anything. There's no cohesion. And the more, even when we find things that are unifying, it's unifying in this pathway. But when we, I'll say to kind of explain that. So like for people with, I'll put in religion. I found that going along my journey is that we have all these different religions. Some people are Christians or Methodists or Catholics or whatever, and they believe that that is their true path, and all the other paths, in a sense, are not worth anything. So within their path, they have that cohesion, they have that unity, and during that time, at some point in time, something may happen within that pathway, and it pushes them away, and they find something new, they find a deeper meaning. And then they leave that, and they go over to this new pathway, whatever that may be, and they push that aside. And for me, that is while it helps them in their spiritual growth and their spiritual journey, because now they're evolving, they found more, and they found a deeper meaning to their journey. I found for myself that a lot of times people, when they go to this pathway is now higher and this pathway is now lower. And this pathway that they came from is now inferior, and they don't want anything to do with anyone within that pathway. And for me, that is a continued cycle of separation. When even though you came from this original pathway, this pathway was your foundation. It brought you to where you were, and it brought you to finding this new information and this new insight. So for me personally, instead of pushing away everything that may have not been good or dark on my journey, and just holding on to this new stuff, I've sought to take everything that has brought me to this point and integrate all of it, because there's meaning in all of it. And that original foundation is, to me, is more of a cycle of integration. And I think integration is the way that we get to peace. yes. So even though the different principles of uh, Hermetic philosophy are within my foundation, I'm also trying to figure out a way to, because even within those 7 principles, and it starts with the principle of mentalism, which just says that everything is spirit, and spirit is all, everything is together. To me, all of the other principles just divide into separate categories of everything as a way to explain everything. But so what I'm seeking to do is to figure out a way to get rid of the other principles and just get back to the original principle that all is spirit, and it really doesn't, everything else, all of the other, the vision, the principle of polarity and the principle of rhythm, while we know, like with rhythm and vibration, we know that energy is always moving and everything. That's just another way to explain how things work. So for me, it's seeking to get rid of all of those other principles that while they define how life is, it really doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. To me, it's just faith in knowing how everything exists and everything just works the way that it is, and being consciously aware of those things to get back to a true center. And to me, a true center is just peace. There's no conflict. There's no conflict. There's no discord. There's just peace. And peace isn't really the correct term for it, but me and my humanness is the only is the best word that I have for it. So peace, center, and whatever else in that space is created. I think that's all I have for you for now. This is the first time that I am publicly sharing this concept theory with anyone. I've told maybe 10 people ever. Like, so in the last 4 years that I've been working on this, out of those 10 people, maybe 2 or 3 have kind of understood what I'm saying. But for me, it's all here in my head, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get it out. So, thank you.
Anybody have questions for Reverend Edmund?
Yes.
So, I have a question and a comment.
Okay.
The question I have is that in the very ancient Eastern scriptures, there's a very famous line where they talked about everything started with the nothingness or the darkness, as you described it. And then they asked the question of what stirred.
What stirred it?
Stirred, yes. And so my question is, you talked about these sparks of light showing up. My question is, how did those come about?
So I don't have I've been trying to, I don't have an actual answer for that. For me, it's just, the way I describe it is that, in a sense, there was I guess within that darkness, there were seeds that were already there, and of course, where did the seeds come from? But for me, that there was a seed that was always there, and at some point in time, in a garden, when you plant anything, you usually need sun, you need water, you need air, you need nutrients for a plant to grow. But if you put a seed somewhere that it's devoid of those things, 2 things will happen. Either 1, it won't grow, or 2, at some point in time, some kind of way, the environment it'll find a way to be something. And for me, that is the only way that I can explain where there was nothing and then there was something. Eventually, that something found a way to be created.
Okay. And the comment that I have is what you talked about as being the center
So,
between the
yeah,
between the polarities.
between the poles,
Well,
yes.
I have a name for that,
Okay,
and it's only my name, and it's kind of like the many names of the manifestations. But I call that the in between,
okay,
and I spend a lot of time there philosophically.
okay, thank you. Yes,
So, I resonate with the theology of this, right? I mean, that's a good word, but I know you and I have had some back and forth about some of our beliefs and everything. My belief of the 0 point is like Ho'oponopono, it's a neutrality. It's how do we go back to neutral? And what I've seen in my life and experienced in my belief system is that we need contrast. Earth is a school for us to have contrast. Without that contrast, without that light and dark, we don't know what we're holding up against, what frequency or that we are holding until we see the contrast of it. So being a total jerk versus being someone who's always loving, it's a challenge to get from the in-between sometimes, because neutrality will say, you know what, I can sometimes be this, but I can also be this. How can I make peace with both sides and live my life where I'm just here to learn and choose from that experience? So I thought it was beautiful how you visually showed that out today about the 0, because in Ho'oponopono they talk about the 0 point. How do we get back to the 0 point? Well, everything's energy. It holds a memory. You know, like if somebody that sat in this chair had a energy of something that was about money, then that could be projected in this. When you sit in this chair, you can feel that energy, and then you make a choice whether that's yours or not, and if you're going to carry it or not, or hold on to the burdens of it. So I think that makes me think a little bit more about my belief system and what I think resonates to help me for my highest good. So thank you for sharing.
and so I'll say, because I know like we had that conversation. So for me, the being here to learn different things and feel different things, I guess in a deeper meaning of that for me is that, because I've heard that from some people, and then I've heard from other people that we're here doing this, and I've heard from other people that we're doing this. So for me, well, I say that's good, and that's for that concept helps you in your spiritual evolution. For me, in a sense, I kind of see that as another cycle with the many different pathways of why we're here and what we're doing here and things like that. So is in a, I guess in a deeper sense, which I can't comprehend myself, is if we had none of those different pathways. So like I wrote a book and it said that everyone has there's different pathways to the center or to within. And to me it's so I say like in a deeper sense is that if none of those existed, what would we have? So that's where I think is like I see that and I feel that in my own journey, in my own walk. But if that wasn't there, and that wasn't there, and that wasn't there, and that wasn't there, and somehow either I or others was able to get back to to that nothingness or to a blank slate, what could be created from there, and how would that look?
To me, this is just consciousness where there is no judgment. Isn't that right? And then consciousness, you know, even the negative side and the positive side. For creations, you need to stay in the center, maybe meditation.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the 0 point where you don't think about anything, you don't judge anything, you just be? And then now, I don't know.
Yeah. At a point, yes. Consciousness, getting into that meditation, getting into that center. At that center, there is nothing. But I guess also getting to a center where there's nothing, but also being able to keep walking and creating and being awake and moving through life without without that judgment or without those extra poles, and just still creating, moving through life. Yes.
So I just heard, being at that center where there's nothing, but also where there's everything.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Oh.
Well,
Go
go ahead.
What's
Oh,
going on?
I was just going to say, and it's not exactly the same as to where did that spark come from, but what I've heard and thought, that the universe, that all of existence is constantly expanding and shrinking. So it's like it's always been there.
Mhm.
It's just, we're in the cycle, everything else is in a cycle, like today, the winter solstice. Why would the whole universe be in a cycle that expands and shrinks? Huh.
That's the thing. There's as many. When you look at it, if you spend time and you sit there and look at it, and I don't think even myself or anyone could sit there and record all of the different cycles and all of the different to record all the different cycles, and then seeing how they all interlap with each other and how they all work with each other, and then but getting to a point to get rid of all those and go back to somewhere else in a sense. Sandy?
Yes, I don't know if this is accurate, but as you, to me, it almost seemed like a spectrum, in essence, they are the same thing, it's just a matter of density and maybe frequency. I don't know, frequency and density are the same thing, but it's just over here, it's just more stuff, and over here it's just a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
But their essence is the same.
That's where the principle of polarity, which is just everything on any one line, everything is just the same. It's just
Okay.
different extremes of each other. The further you go to what we would call right is an extreme of an extreme of extreme that and as we go the other way is the same thing. So it's just everything on the same line is a different aspect of one another.
Okay, so I was kind of right.
Yes. Jan?
I really enjoyed the talks. And I agree that it's like a zero or coming back to center, and meditation helps you do that and helps you be receptive of spirit, which will give you that creation and that spark that you're talking about. The one thing I would suggest, and it's just my opinion, is you're saying, you said getting rid of there was the Catholic religion and this religion and that religion, whether it be Judaism or whatever, and to just get rid of it. To me, that is, like you said, the foundation. That is where I started, and that is where I learned to grow from. So although a lot of those principles don't necessarily apply the same way they did then, some of them still apply.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's a good thing to say get rid of, maybe integrate the best and remove the rest.
Well, and I did say talk about integration. So I wasn't saying by telling that story of just saying how when you start with one foundation, some people, when they find the next foundation, they disregard that entire foundation where they came from. And for me, it was about, which is a separation. So for me, it was about whatever your original foundation is, and now you've grown and you have found this new information to make your life better. It's still, yes, integrating everything from that your first initial spark to where you are now, and creating that entirely instead of creating the separation of removing everything. Yes.
Keep the best.
I just wanted to thank you for taking a very esoteric concept and giving it a framework.
David?
Thank you for your insights. It helps me. I'm giving a talk at the end of January on the irony of perception. And I'm more towards the Course in Miracles side of things, where I think we came from 100% light.
Okay.
And we came here because when we were there, we couldn't appreciate what that meant. So duality was created, and now we're stuck here, but as long as we keep choosing that. But we're defining what it was. Now we understand where we came from, 100% light. We're not going to a neutral place. We're getting back to 100% light. And I agree with Jan about building up on a foundational belief system, what resonates with you, and that it is frequency. I agree with Sandy.
All right, well, thank you. I was trying to figure out where to start my talk, from dark or from light, but
Well, science
It's the-
says
yeah,
Well,
I guess.
it's the irony of perception.
Yeah, since dark is considered negative in a sense for me, that's why I started from there to move the other way. So,
Am I allowed?
Sure.
No, I just, again, celebrate you for having the courage to get up and share your beautiful thoughts, and on winter solstice, on this day of balance of light and dark, and on this day of rebirth to light, celebrating the light's return. And I just appreciate what you're saying. I get what you're saying and wanting to find the right words to say we're all related, or what was the title of your talk?
all is related.
All is related because of spirit.
Yes.
Is what I'm hearing in your talk, is what you were trying to get us to, and nothing else matters. It's not that, I loved how you named it a cycle of separation, like a rhythm of separation.
Mhm.
And how do we get out of these separations? All the religions are separating us in a way, but we're all spirit. And so how do we come into rhythms of, integration, I like that word, but also seeing that we're that sparks of light experiencing different parts of it, that there is no rhythm of separation, it's only a rhythm of spirit. So I just wanted to thank you for that, because it is the most important thing, that we are all spirit.
Thank you.
I think you'll be,
I'll do one more.
okay.
And the behind you. Behind you.
The question, I understand the dark and light. I understand the flow. I understand you broke those two solid lines and made two circles.
Yes.
How do you stay within those circles?
I'm still working on that myself. So that's why this is as far as I've gotten in 4 years, pretty much. I mean, I do a lot more working in my head on my own, but trying to figure out how to bring the concept to out to share. So I'm still working on that, and I hope to share more in the future.
Did you have specific authors or readings or teachings that prompted this theory for you? You would suggest to a preschooler?
So the two things that I keep being led to over the last 4 years, first was the Emerald Tablets, and there is a recording that you can find like on YouTube or probably Spotify or whatever of a audio of it. It's like 4, 5, 6 hours long. That's something you can listen to, and just I'd say listen to it, like spend time listening to it, but then also listen to it while you're doing something else. I found for myself that I received more information from it listening to it while I was focused on something else.
And the name again, I'm sorry.
The Emerald Tablets.
Emerald Tablets.
Yes,
Okay.
and the other is the Kybalion, which is a newer, that book was written in the, like 1903 or something like that. It's another way to explain the 7 principles, and I guess it tells it more in, I don't know, language that we can kind of understand, because the Emerald Tablets they're from BC,
Okay.
so it explains it a little bit better.
Okay, thank you
Yes,
very much.
you're welcome.
Can I just speak real quick?
Oh.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a concept that I read in the I Am discourses, where they suggest meditating on the I Am presence, that we all, the spark.
Mhm.
which is the I am presence of God spark within us all, and meditating on that to become more connected to that 0 point, the not the yin, not the the whole just I, and the whole spirit that we allow. So just want to suggest that concept. That is, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for presenting.
Thank you.
And then just had a,
Absolutely.
just had a reference, so the book that he's referring to, it's only $1.99 on Kindle. It's, the author is Hermes Trismegistus, who was also incarnated in Egypt as Thoth. So that's, you can find abridged or unabridged versions of it for like $2, but it's the audio version, and it's very good. It talks about the Kabbalion and the Emerald Tablets, referring to the 7 principles of Hermeticism.
What's the book?
The Kabbalion and, the Emerald Tablets, and the author is Hermes Trismegistus.
All right.
Thank you, Edmund.
Thank you.
You can always tell when it's a good topic when there's lots of questions, so bringing that to